Okay, so we're on Bhagavad Gita chapter 18, text 68. Ya idam paramam guhyam madbhakteshvabhidasyati bhaktim mayi param kritva mam evaisyatya sangshayaha. For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end he will come back to me. Prabhupada says here, generally is advised that Bhagavad Gita be discussed amongst the devotees only. For those who are not devotees will understand neither Krishna nor Bhagavad Gita. Those who do not accept Krishna as he is and Bhagavad Gita as it is should not try to explain Bhagavad Gita whimsically and become offenders. Bhagavad Gita should be explained to persons who are ready to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is a subject matter for the devotees only and not for the philosophical speculators. Anyone, however, who tries to sincerely present Bhagavad Gita as it is will advance in devotional activities and reach the pure devotional state of life. As a result of such pure devotion, he is sure to go back home, back to Godhead. So here we see the result. Krishna has already described the qualifications for understanding Bhagavad Gita, right? And he says in the previous verse, this confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. So these are the qualifications to hear Bhagavad Gita. Bhakto shi me sakha cheti. In the 4th chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna that I'm explaining this to you because you're my dear friend, right? And my devotee. Remember that? So this is like the prescription, just like you see on a bottle. Like I just went to CVS today and picked up a prescription, and they ask you every time, probably by law, do you need to talk to a what are they called? Pharmacist. Do you? Oh, you know. Right. Do you need to talk to the pharmacist? And have you taken this before? Because then if you haven't, then you need to speak to the expert, who then explains it to you, right? And will tell you how to take it. And they even give you like a packet of paperwork with it, right? And it says, like take it on this way and this way, empty stomach, blah blah blah, right? So each particular medication, there's an expert who's there who's meant to explain it to you. And then similarly, there's scriptural guidance as well as how to receive it. So there has to be a guru and there has to be shastra. You have to go through the proper chain of command and you have to take the medicine in the appropriate way. So Krishna describes on the bottle how to take it. Bhakto shi me sakacheti. You have to be my devotee. And here Krishna is explaining that this scripture is really meant for the devotees. Na bhaktaya kadachana. So don't explain it to the abhaktas at any time. Yeah? Especially this confidential knowledge, which means Krishna's personality. Right? Remember, Bhagavad Gita describes confidential knowledge, more confidential knowledge, and most confidential knowledge. The guhya. So guhya means a secret. Yeah? It's Krishna's. We're very liberal, of course, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava movement of distributing the personality of Godhead wherever we can. But from one perspective, Krishna keeps himself secret. He's not meant to be understood by everyone. And the confidential knowledge is Brahman. It's the absolute truth, the light of Brahman, which exists on the platform of eternity and exists beyond nature, right? And then higher than that, more confidential, more secret, is the Supersoul, Parabrahman, Paramatma, right? Krishna in the heart. It's the beginning of the personhood of God. And then the most confidential is Krishna's personality as an individual, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah? And Krishna had mentioned, Manmana bhava bhakta madhyaji mam namaskadu, right? Mama vaisyasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. You have to worship me, you have to bow down to me. You have to offer your obeisances. You have to put your mind upon me constantly. Always think of me, meditate upon me. Sarva dharmam parityaja mam ekam sharanam braja. And just surrender unto me. Do not fear. You have to have total faith, right? That Krishna will be the one who gives you happiness and pleasure. Okay? Krishna will protect you from all harm. All you have to do is surrender to Krishna, and automatically everything else will be taken care of. All the desires and things that we have, don't fear. Just surrender to Krishna. He'll take care of it. You're worried about money? Surrender to Krishna. You're worried about this? Surrender to Krishna, right? You want to enjoy? Surrender to Krishna. So it's by that surrender to Krishna that he takes care of everything. And this is the gateway to the higher literatures of devotional service. Like we mentioned last time, right here we have the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the body of Krishna. It's a deity of Krishna. In fact, when you approach the Bhagavatam, you approach just as you approach a deity. When you go before Shishi Rukmini Dwarkadish, the first thing you do is you look at their feet, right? And then after looking at their feet, you move upward to their legs, to their hips, to their chest, and then to their smiling face, which is like the crescendo. So the Bhagavatam begins with the first canto. First and second canto are the feet. And it lays the foundation, much like Bhagavad Gita, of understanding who the personality of Godhead is, his position beyond nature. What's that noise? Is there like somebody outside or something? So the thing is that you have this the feet of Krishna. Then by moving upward gradually, you're entering into a clearer understanding of the personality of Godhead. And so in the third canto, fourth canto, fifth canto, sixth canto, this is all going deeper and deeper into who Krishna is, right? And then finally, when you're qualified, having studied it all, then you actually look at Krishna's face, which is the 10th canto. And the 10th canto shows the pastimes of Krishna and Vrindavan. Now you're seeing the Supreme Lord as he is in his eternal abode. And when Krishna says, Manmana Bhavamad Bhakta, that's what he means. Think of me and my pastimes in Vrindavan. Meditate upon me. Be conscious of me. And constantly remember me and my pastimes, my form, my name, right? So this is the greatest secret, the smiling face of Krishna. And this is the Vedanta Sar. It's the essence of the Vedas itself. You know, there's so many different literatures in the Vedas. The Upanishads, they describe transcendence. They describe Brahman, right? But they don't really go... there are Upanishads which indicate Krishna, the personality, Ishopanishad, and there's mantras in the Vedas like the Purusha Sukta which indicate the personality of Godhead. But he's kind of hidden, right? Vedeshu dulabam adurabam abhaktam. But by the grace of the devotees, you can understand and penetrate into the deepest mystery of the Vedas and the deepest mystery of knowledge itself, which is the personality of Godhead. And developing your devotion to him, right? Once you have this knowledge, then you actually apply it in the form of devotional service, and you cultivate and you reignite the natural devotion of the soul. Okay? And this eventually leads to pure love of God. So this whole path here, this is what Krishna is talking about. You can't explain these things to non-devotees because they won't understand. In fact, they'll just become envious. If you just show Krishna's pastimes to the non-devotees, especially those pastimes in Vrindavan, they'll just offend Krishna. They'll think that he's just a lampat, he's just a lusty boy, right? Or he's sinful or something like that. They'll have some materialistic conception of the personality of Godhead. So there has to be a qualification before you can enter into the secret of who Krishna is. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we've reached the end of the Bhagavad Gita. And so, for those of you that have studied from the beginning, then it's like you're ready to now move on to the Bhagavatam. You're ready to actually deal with the personality of Godhead. All right? Assuming that you're bhaktas, yeah? And you're cha-shu shushave. You're not envious of Krishna. Yeah.
They're not Krishna. Everybody want to be Krishna.
Yeah, right. That's exactly what enviousness is that you want to be Krishna, which means we want to be the enjoyer. And so we're all envious of Krishna to a certain degree because we want to take his position, right? We want to imitate him. But, here it means like you're a demoniac, right? You're totally antagonistic. So, ya idam paramam guhyam. This is the greatest secret. Mad bhakteshva bhidasyati. And so this, basically, it has to be explained by devotees, right? Bhaktim mai padam kritva mam eva evayushatya sangshayaha. And if you study this, some pure devotional service is guaranteed. Bhakti mai padam kritva. So what it produces, what it creates in you is bhakti padam. So it's higher bhakti. Remember, Krishna mentioned this in the previous verse. Brahma bhuta prasanatma na shochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim. What is it? Mad bhaktim. What is it? Labhate param. Thank you. I couldn't find labhate. So Krishna is telling me I have no desire for it, right? So you obtain the padam, the higher devotional service, bhakti padam. And here Krishna mentions it again. Bhaktim mai padam. Pure devotion unto me, higher devotion unto me. So once you've transcended the modes of nature, then when you do devotional service, like on the level of bhava and prema, that's actually real bhakti. It's pada bhakti. It's the higher bhakti. Okay? Yes?
So when we explain the Bhagavad Gita or preach to newcomers, we have to preach to them in and their level.
Sure, you have to tone it down.
You got to dumb down whatever.
Mm-hmm. You can't just go out and throw out, Krishna's intimate pastimes and talk about Radharani and stuff like that. I've seen that with certain groups, non-ISKCON groups. Like I've met people on Harinam before that they're like, oh, can you explain that stuff on your forehead? And I'm like, yeah, it's holy clay from a sacred place in India, and it represents that you're a devotee of Vishnu. And then they're like, yeah, but I met some other Hare Krishna, and he was telling me that it's like the foot of some woman. Like some woman put her foot on their head. Like, what is that? And I understood immediately, these people, they're telling them about Radharani, and some intimate Rasika idea about Radharani's footprint or whatever. They don't know what the heck you're talking about, They think it's like some woman at Venice Beach put their foot on his head, And so it's totally beyond people's comprehension. So you have to start with, you're not the body. That's the basic thing. And you'll see throughout Prabhupada's books, that's what he emphasizes, even in the 10th canto, even in Krishna book. You'll see that there's this emphasis on that because, then you develop the qualification to actually understand. And if you read the Srimad Bhagavatam in pure love of God, that's a totally different experience altogether. You see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's the way he read it, right? With Ramananda Roy, Swarup Damodar Goswami. And he was walking through walls, as we mentioned before, right? So the level of transcendental ecstasy achieved in this deep meditation on Krishna, that's what Krishna is describing here. But it begins by understanding the Bhagavad Gita through the devotional understanding, through the parampara. And therefore, Prabhupada calls it Bhagavad Gita as it is, right? Which means it's as Krishna spoke it, as Krishna intended it. All right? It's almost like somebody walks around with a fire, smoke detector on their arm.
It's just a big truck reversing at this time every day.
Oh, it's that truck. That's right. Thank you. Okay, so let's take a look at text 69. Na chatasman manusheshu kaschin me priyakritamaha bhavita na cha me tasmad anya priyaktado bhuvi. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. Okay, so this one who explains the Bhagavad Gita, then he gets pure devotional service, pada bhakti, and also Krishna is sort of, describing how dear that individual is. Priyakritamaha. Okay, he's the greatest among those who are dear. Let's take a look at text 70. Adhyeshate chaya imam dharmyam samvadamavayoho jana yajnena tenaham ishtasyam iti me matihi. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence. So this is Krishna's opinion, me matihi. He says this a couple times in Bhagavad Gita. And when Krishna says, this is how humble Krishna is, right? It's a glance into his personality. He doesn't say, I'm God, do it, right? He doesn't tell Arjuna to do anything. He doesn't even command him. He does say, get up and fight, but he's kind of urging him, right? Tasmad yudhyasva bharata. Therefore, get up and fight, with this understanding. But he never tells him what to do. He never forces him. Okay, if you don't do it, I'm going to force you to do it, right? He says, I've given you this information. Your intelligence has been sort of saturated and purified by my instruction. And now choose what you want to do, right? And so here Krishna is saying that those who study this, it's a jnana yagya. You're performing a sacrifice with your intelligence. Okay? So it's a very specific kind of worship. And this is Krishna's opinion. Text 71, Shradhavan anasuyascha shrinuyad apiyo nadaha sopi mukta shubha lokan prapnuyat punya karmanam. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. So Shradhavan, one who's full of faith, anasuya, one who's not envious. This individual, sopi mukta, he becomes liberated, Shubhan Lokan, into the auspicious planets, or the auspicious realms, right? And he attains punya karma, pious karma. So let's see what Prabhupada says in the purport here. Let's jump ahead we'll start at the top. In the 67th verse of this chapter, the Lord explicitly forbade the Gitas being spoken to those who are envious of the Lord. In other words, Bhagavad Gita is for the devotees only, but it so happens that sometimes the devotee of the Lord will hold open class, and in that class not all the students are expected to be devotees. Why do such persons hold open class? So that's your question, right? It is explained here that although not everyone is a devotee, still there are many men who are not envious of Krishna. They have faith in him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If such persons hear from a bona fide devotee about the Lord, the result is that they become at once free from all sinful reactions, and after that attain the planetary systems where all righteous persons are situated. Therefore, simply by hearing Bhagavad Gita, even a person who does not try to be a pure devotee attains the result of righteous activities. Thus, a pure devotee of the Lord gives everyone a chance to become free from all sinful reactions and to become a devotee of the Lord. So, obviously, this is a textbook of how to understand the processes of yoga and how to develop transcendental knowledge and how to learn ultimately about bhakti and how to offer your activities to Krishna, how to develop the understanding that you're Krishna's servant and do your activities with that knowledge. And therefore it's meant for the devotees. And yet devotees will preach this to everyone. But there's kind of two levels of result. One is for the devotees, those who actually take it to heart, they go back to Godhead, right? And then for the non-devotees who just simply hear it, but they're not envious. They're not necessarily devotees, they're just, pious people who will listen, right? So for them, then they can attain punya karma, like they basically go to the heavenly planets. Right? Punya karma are the shubha lokan. They can either go to the heavenly planets, or in another sense, this could refer to the transcendental realm, Krishna loka. So you're elevated to a higher level of existence just by hearing it, right? Prabhupada says here, generally those who are freed from sinful reactions, those who are righteous, very easily take to Krishna consciousness. The word punya karmanam is very significant here. It refers to the performance of great sacrifices like the Ashvamedha Yajna mentioned in the Vedic literature. Those who are righteous in performing devotional service, but who are not pure, can attain the planetary system of the pole star or Dhruva Loka, where Dhruva Maharaj is presiding. He's a great devotee of the Lord, and he has a special planet which is called the pole star. So this is probably referring to Prabhupada, maybe referencing one of the commentaries of the Acharyas. So, you have these different heaven, you have the realms of the demigods, and then you also have amongst them, you even have a spiritual planet in this universe, which is Dhruva Loka. Okay, it's the North Star. Okay, let's take a look at text 72. Kach chid e tach shrutim partha trayai kagrena chetasa kach chid ajnana samoha pranashtaste dhananjaya. O son of Pritha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind, and are your ignorance and illusion now dispelled? Prabhupada says that the Lord was acting as the spiritual master of Arjuna. Therefore, it was his duty to inquire from Arjuna whether he understood the whole Bhagavad Gita in its proper perspective. If not, the Lord was ready to re-explain at any point, or the whole Bhagavad Gita, if so required. So this is interesting. Krishna would, he's already got everyone waiting. I mean, we've read it. It's taken us almost 6 months or something, maybe less than that, 5 months or so. But with Krishna, it probably took him about 45 minutes. Right? It's about 700 verses. It was just a conversation, and everyone's kind of there. What happened is they'd blown their conch shells, which means that they're ready to charge. Like there's no further talking or anything. It's just they just start galloping at each other, right? But instead, in the middle of it, the chariot came out in the middle, right? Arjuna's chariot, drawn by the 4 horses, and drawn by the white horses. And so immediately everyone's like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" There's like a whole conversation going on, and then they even see during the universal form, Arjuna falls to his knees and he's like crying, like what the heck is going on here? Because they don't see the universal form, right? And so in this way, so many amazing things are happening, and they're also hearing it. They can hear Krishna speaking, and so that's what's going on. And so, but Krishna was ready to just make them all wait again and explain the whole thing. Better get some popcorn, right? This is going to take a while. So he's going to continue preaching to him until he understands, right? And this is the mood of the spiritual master. He's very compassionate to the disciple. Shishashtiham shadibam tvam prapanam. Arjuna had surrendered in the beginning. Karpanya dosho pahatasva bhava. And so Krishna is going to instruct him until he understands, till he's satisfied. Okay? Let's take a look at the next verse, text 73. Arjuna vacha nasto moha smriti labdha tvat prasadan maya chuta stitosmi gata sandeha kadishe vachanam tava. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and prepared to act according to your instructions. Okay, so let's take a look here in the purport at the second paragraph. It says the word moha is very important in this verse. Moha refers to that which is opposed to knowledge. Any real knowledge is the understanding that every living being is eternally a servitor of the Lord. But instead of thinking oneself in that position, the living entity thinks that he is not a servant, that he is the master of this material world, for he wants to lord it over material nature. That is his illusion. This illusion can be overcome by the mercy of the Lord, by the mercy of a pure devotee. When that illusion is over, one agrees to act in Krishna consciousness. So this nashta moha, smriti labdha, so my moha has been destroyed. Okay? And the essential moha is that you think that you're the enjoyer of this world, that you're the Lord and Master. That's the false ego. What's somebody's phone going on? Okay. So that moha, then prasadan mayachita. So by your mercy, then he's overcome it. And smriti labdha, he's obtained remembrance, right? He's obtained remembrance of his true position. He's brought back into proper consciousness. Yeah, remember that verse I just quoted, Karpanidasho patasva bhava prishtrami tvam dharma sambuddha cheta. So please teach me my understanding of my sort of consciousness, my intelligence of dharma has become bewildered. And so I'm totally bewildered. And so now he's saying, smritir labdha, like I'm no longer bewildered. I'm back in my original consciousness. And of course, Arjuna is technically not really an illusion. Krishna's put him in illusion for the purpose of speaking Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna is a pure devotee of Krishna, right? But now he's brought back to his original Krishna consciousness by Krishna's mercy. Okay? Let's take a look. Look a couple sentences ahead. It says, let's see, one who does not know him is under the spell of illusion. He does not become a devotee, but a servitor of Maya. Arjuna, however, after hearing Bhagavad Gita from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, became free from all illusion. He could understand that Krishna was not only his friend, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he understood Krishna factually. So the study of Bhagavad Gita is to understand Krishna factually. When a person is in full knowledge, he naturally surrenders to Krishna. Now that's powerful. All right? Like basically, if you were to attain full knowledge right now, we're not even talking about devotion, just knowledge. Like somehow all the illusion, the grand illusion of reality were to be removed from your eyes at this moment, you would immediately surrender to Krishna. Because you would see exactly what reality is, who Krishna is, what is your position, right? What is the material energy. So knowledge and devotion are really the same. Because the more knowledge you have, the more devotion you have. The more that you understand Krishna, naturally you surrender to him. Even if you have a gross demon, like, Palambasura or something, Bakasura, if you were to somehow illuminate them with transcendental knowledge, they would also surrender to Krishna. It's only ignorance that makes us forget our true position and then hanker after material energy and be in moha. Moha, illusion, is ignorance. Right? The desire to enjoy the world, which we're all hankering, it's all filling our consciousness, right? We're totally, basically obsessed with material energy and addicted to it. And that's because we don't really see reality for what it is. If somehow you could see reality, then all of your desires would vanish. Okay? Let's take a look at text 74. Sanjaya uvacha ityaham vasudevasya parthasya cha mahatmanaha samvadam mimam ashrausham adbhutam romaharshanam. Sanjaya said, thus I have heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. So that's the end of Krishna and Arjuna talking. Vasudevasya parthasya cha mahatmanaha. So these two Mahatmas, right? And when he remembers this, Roma Harshanam, right? This Ashrausham Adbhutam, Roma Harshanam, this wonderful, wonderful discussion, Samvadam, then his hair stands up in ecstasy. Right? Sanjaya, he's actually relaying this conversation to the king, to Dhritarashtra in Hastinapur. They're actually, about 100 miles from the battlefield, and they're in a palace. And Sanjay has this power, by the grace of Vyasadeva, to be able to see what's going on. Vyasadeva also has this power. He's Trikalagya. He knows everything, right? Whatever he wants to see, past, present, or future, he can enter into meditation and see it. And that's how he wrote down all these pastimes of Krishna, right? It wasn't just like it was all heard. He actually was watching it happen, or the Ramayana or something. He was watching it in meditation. And that's how many of our pastimes come to us too, like the 6 Goswamis, their literatures, like Rupa Goswami. Then they enter into meditation on the holy name, and they actually see Vrindavan, right? And then they write down some of the stuff they saw. So it's the same thing with Vyasadeva. That's how he wrote down the whole Vedas. And so he blessed Sanjay with a similar ability, that he could be seated there and then see what's going on in the battlefield. And he relayed the information to Dhritarashtra. Okay? But it's so amazing that he's actually going into ecstasy just talking about it. Okay. Let's take a look at text 75. Vyasa prasadat shrutavan etad guhyam aham param yogam yogeshwarat krishnat sakshat katayata svayam. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who is speaking personally to Arjuna. So it is Yogam Yogeshwarat Krishnat, right? He's heard them directly from Krishna, who is the Yoga Ishvarat, the master of all mysticism. He's the Ishvara of yoga. He's the Lord of yoga. Yeah? And it's interesting because Bhagavad Gita is about yoga. That's what it's about. Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Bhakti yoga, basically. And so it's the Ishvara of yoga has described Param Yogam, the highest yoga. Yeah? Etad Guyam, and it's the greatest, most confidential secret. He's heard of it. And by the mercy of Vyas, his guru, he's heard this. Sakshat Katayata Svayam, who is speaking personally to Arjuna. So it's directly from the mouth of Krishna, from the mouth of God. He's heard the highest yoga, the highest philosophy of yoga. Pretty far out, huh? From the Yoga Ishvara. Vyas was the spiritual master of Sanjay, and Sanjay admits that it was by Vyasa's mercy that he could understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that one has to understand Krishna not directly, but through the medium of the spiritual master. The spiritual master is the transparent medium, although it is true that the experience is still direct. This is the mystery of the disciplic succession. When the spiritual master is bona fide, then one can hear Bhagavad Gita directly as Arjuna heard it. So that's powerful, right? That's basically what Sanjay is saying here, that sakshat katayata svayam. By the mercy of Vyas, I'm hearing this directly from Krishna. So it's our experience too. If you hear Bhagavad Gita as it is in the proper way, and you yourself are a qualified listener, meaning you're following the principles, you're engaged in service, right? You're chanting Hare Krishna, and you're in a submissive mood, and you're endeavoring to understand with devotion, without envy, then if you have those qualities and you hear from someone who's similarly engaged and has heard themselves in the same way, then that Shakti will flow to you. Just like we've given the example before, these light sockets, they're connected like this little thing here. I forget what that's called. What's that called? Plug, yeah. There's another word for it though. But anyway, this little plug here, it plugs into the wiring that goes to the wall, right? Like as the wiring travels through, it goes into the plugs, and it winds around the whole building, and then it comes to the main power thing, the fuse, right? And then from there it goes up into the ceiling or the roof, and then it goes over to the poles here, and it makes its way through, junction box after junction box, till it gets to a power grid that's on Venice Boulevard there, right? And that's just like a what do you call it? That's just like it reinvests it with more power to keep moving, right? It originally goes all the way back to, I think, the Hoover Dam or whatever it is over in Arizona, right? So all that electricity, it's coming from those turbines all the way here, and like almost the speed of light, This energy in this light bulb, it's coming from that river in Arizona. What's it called?
The Hoover Dam?
No, what's that river called?
Colorado River?
Yeah, the Colorado River, thank you. It turns into the Rio Bravo, right? It turns into the...
Rio Grande.
Rio Grande, sorry. I haven't got hardly any sleep, so I can't remember anything. So from all the way from that distance, it's coming here, and it's just like we're right standing there, isn't it? I mean, it's the same power as if the lights that power the Hoover Dam. If you walk through the tunnels and stuff, it's the same light. And so it's the same thing. If you have that disciplic succession connecting all the way back to Krishna, then it's really no different from being right next to Krishna. Yeah? And so that's what's happening here, and by the mercy of the Guru. And Prabhupada says here, the Guru is the transparent via medium. That's interesting. What does that mean? Well, does that mean the Guru is Krishna? No, he's the via medium of Krishna. But he's transparent, just like the window, right? The window is transparent. So if you see the sun outside the window, the window is just conveying the sun to you without interference, especially if it's clean, right? You can have a dusty window that, like, you go into a barn that hasn't been opened in 40 years, and you could see, like you pull off the cloth over the window, and there's it's just this fuzzy yellow, kind of blur emanating through, right? That's not a transparent via medium. Maybe something coming through. But if you clean it, if you get a pure devotee, someone whose heart is pure, then they just shine directly Krishna to you. And that's why there's that power. That's why it's no different than dealing directly with Krishna. Okay? But the spiritual master is not Krishna. So it's an interesting interplay, and you'll see as you mature in devotional service and you interact more with your spiritual master, you'll see that, they're simultaneously one and different. The Guru is Krishna's divine representative, and Krishna fills the Guru with all of the Shaktis of Krishna. Like whatever Shakti is needed for service, he gives the Guru. And so you interact with the Guru, and it's just like interacting with Krishna. There's a tremendous power there, right? And there's a tremendous power to give blessings. But at the same time, Guru's their own individual. They're also a devotee, right? And they have their own personality and their own, qualities and the things that they like and don't like, and their ideas of what devotional service is, and, all these different things. So you're really interacting with Krishna through one of his devotees, through a servant, through an individual. Right? And that's perfectly fine. We're all servants of Krishna. And that's what the spiritual world is. It's filled with individuals who are different from each other and have different ideas, and our personalities just as Krishna's a personality, and yet you serve Krishna through them. Does that make sense? Nobody really deals with Krishna directly. In the spiritual world, you deal with Krishna through other devotees. And they deal with Krishna through you as well. So it's like in other words, Krishna, he doesn't just operate as me with everyone. He operates as everyone together, including me. Does that make sense? It's not just like, there's Krishna, he's there in the middle, and everyone has an individual relationship with him. No, it's like there's a whole bunch of people, billions and billions, unlimited pure devotees, and Krishna's in the middle, and everyone's all working together, including Krishna. Does that make sense? So it's really like a big family. And so part of that is you deal with devotees. You deal with individuals, servants. And when you have pure servants, then Krishna will manifest himself through them to interact with you. Right? And so those individuals are empowered by Krishna as a representative of Krishna. Just like you have a king, the king has their local representative. I think like in India, traditionally you had, at least during the British Raj, there was the king or queen is there, Victoria or something like that is in London. But then you have the viceroy, who lives in Mumbai or Calcutta or something like that, Calicut. And so you have, that was kind of like the royal city of India. And so that viceroy is treated just like the king, right, or the queen. And is really no different than the king or queen. Whatever you do, you want to give a gift to the queen, give it to the viceroy. The queen wants to give you a gift, consider it as the same as coming from the viceroy. Okay, she'll give it through the viceroy. So in this way, the spiritual master is the bona fide representative of Krishna on earth, and you interact with Krishna through the Guru. But the spiritual master is not Krishna. That's the difference. You have to remember that. It's actually offensive to equate the Guru with Krishna and no difference. He's a representative of Krishna. And if he's transparent, then he's as good as Krishna. Krishna will just shine through him as if he's practically... I'm trying to get across a subtle point that Krishna will shine through almost as if he's not there, but he is there. And he has his own individuality and personality as well, and that's also spiritual and transcendental. Does that make sense? So even though it says transparent like a window, transparent via medium, doesn't mean the guru is not there. That window also has its own personality, which is very sweet and wonderful, and also, part of Krishna. You see, so Vaishnavism is personalism. It's like you don't just serve Krishna alone, you serve Krishna and his devotees. And when Krishna descends, he never descends alone. He always descends with his devotees. Yeah? Mm-hmm.
But in the spiritual world, how you enjoy Krishna?
How do you enjoy him?
Yeah.
You come up and you lick. He's like a lollipop,
No, because if I'm never gonna be like directly with him, like how do I get like the supreme enjoyment?
Well, that's the thing, is that you become the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. That's the supreme enjoyment, right? It's not really about being close to Krishna, although you may be. There may be times when you're close to Krishna. It's not that you have, Krishna's far off in a crowd like a rock star or something on stage, and you're just holding up your phone. There's Krishna. Trying to take a picture. Selfie. Selfie stick comes out when Krishna comes by. You've got in Vaikuntha, all four arms are holding selfie sticks, and they're like taking pictures. No, it's not like that. Rather, everybody has an opportunity to be around Krishna if that's your service, right? And the very advanced devotees, like the gopis, they'll try to push you forward to see Krishna and experience Krishna. But in the spiritual world, the real pleasure comes from serving the servants of Krishna, right? Like the gopis and these advanced devotees, they don't want to serve Krishna directly. They don't have the attitude that I want to enjoy Krishna. Their attitude is, I want to please Krishna, right? And they'll do anything to give Krishna happiness, even if that means going to hell. That's their attitude. They don't care about enjoying Krishna at all. You've seen the Nectar Devotion, Daruka, who's the one of Krishna's charioteers, and he fans Krishna with a big peacock feather fan. At one time he was fanning Krishna, and he became so ecstatic that tears were flowing from his eyes, and he couldn't see Krishna. And so he couldn't fan properly. Is Krishna over here? Is Krishna over there? I don't know, right? And because of that, he was like praying, Krishna, please take away the ecstasy. It's getting in the way of my service, right? So the devotee doesn't really care about spiritual ecstasy. The devotee cares about giving pleasure to Krishna. That's it. That's love, right? And so for the devotees, the attitude of giving pleasure to Krishna is that you try to be the lowest one. You try to be the one furthest from Krishna. Say you've got thousands of gopis and they're all serving Krishna. Each gopi is endeavoring to be the last one, the one that's furthest from Krishna, that's doing the most humble service. Right? You have millions of gopis, and each one they're like working together in a network, like a hierarchy, and you have at the end, there's got to be some gopis that are doing the most humble service, right? And then you want to take that position. There's a gopi who, she picks flowers and she never sees Krishna, rarely, and she's just very humble in the background doing service, and you want to be the one who is then secretly sneaking up and washing her clothes and stuff when she's not there. Her clothes are hanging out on the line, and you're one of the gopis, and you come out and you see she's bringing the flowers to Tulsi Devi or something, and so then you, all of a sudden, no one's around, and you go ahead and take her clothes down, and it's dry, and you fold them up very nicely, and you put a little flower perfume on it, and you put a little flower on it, and a little note that says, thank you for making such beautiful garlands, and you put it aside, and then you run away, and then you see someone's done the same to you, right? So that's the nature of Vrindavan, is they're all trying to serve each other. Okay? And then you'll see that's the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees, that you have these wonderful devotees like Kal Krishnadas. They're constantly trying to be the servant of the servant of the servant, to the extent that they will, there's one called Krishnadas, I think it was. He was actually waiting for devotees to throw out their remnants, He would go to devotees from families that were quote-unquote low-class families, and then he would wait until they ate mangoes. I think you'd even leave mangoes and stuff. And then the pulp, they would throw it out in the garbage, like on the side of the house. And then he would go get it, and he would sneak away and start sucking on the mango pulp, trying to eat the remnants of the devotees. And Lord Chaitanya was super pleased with this consciousness, so much so that when they were cleaning the temple of Gundicha to prepare for Rath Yatra, then Kal Krishnadas actually took the water from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feet and was drinking it. And this was unheard of. No one even approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like that. He would never allow that, but he actually allowed him to do it. He actually allowed him to drink that and to take the dust from his feet and tolerated it. And then finally he wouldn't stop taking it, so then he's like, okay, that's enough. So that's the mood, is that if you want to take the dust of Krishna's feet, then it's not so much that everyone's clamoring to get close to Krishna, but rather you try to take the dust of the foot of the devotee who's furthest from Krishna. And you try to be the most humble, menial servant of the 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 servant. And then Krishna wants to, excuse me, my throat is dry. Then Krishna wants to actually see you. He wants to actually give you the dust of his feet. Does that make sense? So it's not so much that you want to see Krishna, but that you want to be seen by Krishna. That's a different mood. Yeah? Where's Krishna? I gotta look, move out of the way, Gopi. Get out of the way. Pushing through the crowd or whatever. You'll never see Krishna that way. Right? You want to be the person that Krishna's pushing through the crowd to see you. And the way that you do that is you have to be the most humble. Because then Krishna's looking, where's the most humble? Right? Where's the one who's doing the most menial service? Where is she? Right? I'm going to find her. So, you sneak around and you leave your flowers on her folded clothes, and then you're running, back because you have service, and then guess who you bump into, on the in the road between two hills, right? You're carrying your yogurt pot and you're late because you folded that gopi's clothes, and then all of a sudden there's a tax collector, right? So that's how it works. Krishna is very pleased with you, and then he'll engage with you. But it's not that devotees are after that necessarily. They're just after pleasing Krishna. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at the last paragraph of this particular purport, text 75. In Bhagavad Gita, all the yoga systems, karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga are explained. Krishna is the master of all such mysticism. So he's the Yogeshvarat, Yogam Yogeshvarat. It's to be understood, however, that as Arjuna was fortunate enough to understand Krishna directly, so by the grace of Vyasa, Sanjay was also able to hear Krishna directly. Actually, there's no difference between hearing directly from Krishna and hearing directly from Krishna via a bona fide spiritual master like Vyasa. The spiritual master is the representative of Vyasadeva also. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, on the birthday of the spiritual master, the disciples conduct the ceremony called Vyasa Puja. Similarly, we have the Vyasa Asana, right? Which is where devotees sit to give class. You're supposed to be a representative of Vyasa. Okay, any questions about this? All right, let's take a look at text 76. Rajan samsmritya samvadamimam adbhutam keshavarjanayo punyam hrishami chambuhur. O King, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure, being thrilled at every moment. So the understanding of Bhagavad Gita is so transcendental that anyone who becomes conversant with the topics of Arjuna and Krishna becomes righteous, and he cannot forget such talks. This is the transcendental position of spiritual life. In other words, one who hears the Gita from the right source directly from Krishna attains full Krishna consciousness. The result of Krishna consciousness is that one becomes increasingly enlightened, and he enjoys life with a thrill, not only for some time, but at every moment. So muhu. So repeatedly, right? It's like our Sanjay's in ecstasy, and it's not going away. He's totally thrilled with ecstasy, and every time he remembers Krishna, he becomes more and more filled with ecstasy. It's like he was totally in bliss, conveying the message to Dhritarashtra, and now it's like when he's so filled with bliss that whenever he thinks about Krishna and Arjuna, it's like it just becomes more in ecstasy. He keeps falling into ecstasy. And this is the result of hearing properly. Text 77. Tachcha samsmritya samsmrita rupam adhyadbhutam hadehe vismayo me mahan rajan harshami cha puna punaha. O King, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder. More and more and more, and I rejoice again and again. So the universal form, he's remembering. So it appears that Sanjaya, also by the grace of Vyasa, could see the universal form of Krishna exhibited to Arjuna. It is of course said that Lord Krishna had never exhibited such a form before. It was exhibited to Arjuna only, yet some great devotees could also see the universal form of Krishna. When it was shown to Arjuna, and Vyasa was one of them. He is one of the great devotees of the Lord, and he is considered to be a powerful incarnation of Krishna. Vyasa disclosed this to his disciple Sanjay, who remembered that wonderful form of Krishna exhibited to Arjuna and enjoyed it repeatedly. So Vyas is a Shakjavesh avatar. So there's different types of avatars. We won't go into all of them. But there's ones that are directly Krishna, like Balaram, right? Or Lord Ram. And then there's some that they're not directly Krishna, but they're jivas, that he's empowered to do something. They're filled with his Shakti. Buddha, for example, is considered one of them, right? So it's basically like, just like you have the Guru as a pure bona fide representative of Krishna, he's in a sense a Shaktivesh avatar. But these ones are individuals that are empowered to do a particular task. And so Vyas, he's empowered to basically be a scholar, yeah? To take the Vedas and then compile them, write them down, yeah, and record them, and then present them within human society, with the onset of Kali Yuga. So it's a very, that's a very difficult task. And so Krishna takes a certain pure devotee, and then he empowers them with the Shakti to be able to do it. All right? Okay, here we go. It's the final verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Dun dun dun. Yatra yogeshvara Krishna yatra partha dhanurdadaha tatra shrir vijayo bhutir dhruva nitir matir mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and whatever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. All right, so wherever you see Partha, who is also Dhanurdhara, he's the bow carrier, right? And wherever you see Yogeshvara Krishna, wherever you see Krishna, who's the Yogeshvara, he's the master, again, of all yogis. Yeah? So, here you have the disciple, the guru and disciple, you have the Lord of Yoga, and you have the best archer in the world, right? And so wherever you see them, you're going to see Shri, Vijay, Bhuti, Dhruva, Nitir, and all of these different qualities. It means victory, power, opulence, morality, right? Matir Mama, this is my opinion. So, in this sort of elevated state of consciousness, he's telling Dhritarashtra that you're going to lose. Remember, that's how the Bhagavad Gita begins. Anyone know the first verse? Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Mataji, do you know it?
Yeah.
You know it? Let's hear it. Okay, very good. So yes, this he's asking Sanjay, Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjay that now that my sons and the sons of Pandu, he's making a distinction. What? What is it?
It's an inside joke.
Okay. I can guess. I can guess by the faces. So it's all right. Wherever there are these two Prabhus, there will be laughter, there will be joy, and there will be other things. Okay, so wherever there is Aitota, there will be blank. So, he was asking that my sons and the sons of Pandu, he's making a distinction, right, which is in the bodily concept of life, and he's favoring his sons, and he's determined, even at the cost of sacrificing morality, etc. And he was worried. Do you remember? He was worried about the influence of the holy place, because the Kurukshetra is a place of morality, and he knows that his sons are immoral, and the sons of Pandu are moral. And so whoever really has these qualities, as it's mentioned here, beauty, victory, morality, they're going to be the ones who win. Yeah? And so he's basically this is answering text 1. Yeah? This is replying to Dhritarashtra that basically you're going to be destroyed, and your sons are going to be destroyed. The Bhagavad Gita began with an inquiry of Dhritarashtra. He was hopeful of the victory of his sons, assisted by great warriors like Bhishma, Drona, and Karna. He was hopeful that the victory would be on his side, but after describing the scene of the battlefield, Sanjay told the king, quote, "You're thinking of victory, but my opinion is that where Krishna and Arjuna are present, there will be all good fortune," end quote. He directly confirmed that Dhritarashtra could not expect victory. For his side, victory was certain on the side of Arjuna because Krishna was there. Krishna's acceptance of the post of charioteer for Arjuna was an exhibition of another opulence, it's renunciation. Krishna is full of all opulences, that's what Bhagavan means, and renunciation is one of them. There are many instances of such renunciation, but Krishna is also the master of renunciation. So let's take a look. Let's look at the next paragraph. We'll skip a paragraph, and then we'll finish the purport. From Bhagavad Gita, we can understand that to realize oneself by philosophical speculation, by meditation, is one process, but to fully surrender into Krishna is the highest perfection. So that's the indirect and the direct path. This is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna is advising the direct path. The path of regulative principles according to the orders of social life and according to the different courses of religion may be a confidential path of knowledge. But although the rituals of religion are confidential, meditation and cultivation of knowledge are still more confidential, and surrender into Krishna is devotion, and devotional service is full Krishna consciousness is the most confidential instruction. That is the essence of the 18th chapter. Another feature of Bhagavad Gita is that the actual truth is the Supreme Personality Krishna. The absolute truth is realized in three features: impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and ultimately the Supreme Personality Krishna. Perfect knowledge of the absolute truth means perfect knowledge of Krishna. If one understands Krishna, then all the departments of knowledge are part and parcel of that understanding. Krishna is transcendental, for he is always situated in his eternal internal potency. The living entities are manifested of his energy and are divided into two classes: eternally conditioned and eternally liberated. Such living entities are innumerable, and they are considered fundamental parts of Krishna. Material energy is manifested into 24 divisions. The creation is affected by eternal time. It is created and dissolved by external energy. This manifestation of the cosmic world repeatedly becomes visible and invisible. So if you knew Bhagavad Gita well, you would know that this last half of that paragraph we just read, Prabhupada is quoting shlokas. Like each one of those sentences is a reference to a particular chapter. Yeah, there's 7th chapters there, the 8th chapter's there, right? He probably quoted about, and in general sections of the Bhagavad Gita as well. Are you still thinking about that funny situation? So, Prabhupada is basically summarizing the topics of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? Let's take a look at the final two paragraph. Actually, let's just look at the last paragraph. The living entity is an original position, is pure spirit. He is just like an atomic particle of the Supreme Spirit. Thus, Lord Krishna may be compared to the sun and the living entities to sunshine. Because the living entities are the marginal potent energy of Krishna, they have a tendency to be in contact either with the material energy or with the spiritual energy. In other words, the living entity is situated between the two energies of the Lord. And because he belongs to the superior energy of the Lord, he has a particle of independence. So we're part and parcel of Krishna, and therefore we have the qualities of Krishna, such as independence. And we are there's the Antadanga, Bahiranga, and what is it called? I'm sorry, I slipped my mind. But the jiva is in between the two. The jiva is actually situated between the spiritual and material energy, and we're a small particle of Krishna. We have independence to choose which direction we're going to go. Which energy do we want to be covered by? Yeah. By proper use of that independence, he comes under the direct order of Krishna. Thus, he attains his normal condition in the pleasure-giving potency. So, this is kind of a subtle reference to Daiviye Shagunamaya Mamamaya Dadatya Mama Eviye Prapadyante Mayam Etam Dadantite. So, if you surrender to Krishna, then you have the blessings of the internal potency, which is Srimati Radharani. Ultimately, you come under her divine protection, and that's what devotional service is. If you look around the room, you'll see various devotees here, yeah. And if you see you see tilak and neck beads and japa and all the symptoms of a Vaishnava, and you see service and prasadam and all these different things, all these trappings of this life. It's basically the mercy of Srimati Radharani. That's all it is. And you're just sort of swimming in that mercy. And the more that you surrender to Krishna, the more you're conducted by that energy to the lotus feet of Krishna. So thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of its conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. Jai Bhagavad Gita ki! Jai! Jai Gaur Premanande! All glories to Srila Prabhupada.